Okay, so it's Friday. It is the 21st of December. We're a few days from Christmas. Today is the winter solstice. I think it's also a full moon or close to it. And it's been a while since I've done this, and I've been thinking about it a lot over the last several weeks. It's been a trying period in my life. This stretch here, the last month or so, it's really tested my belief system, who I am, what I do, why I do it, and I've really felt over the last day or so that I've had to really talk about this, and today was the day that I felt probably the most motivated to do it, and I got some stuff done, and I feel good. I definitely feel better than I have the last couple of days. And when I say that I've kind of really cast some serious doubt on my belief system and what I do and how I do it, and it's, we all have those periods in our lives that that we're tested for some reason or another, and what do you do with those time periods, and do you give in and crumble under them? And I have been dangerously close to just crumbling under and giving up, and I'm glad I haven't, and I'm glad I'm getting the opportunity to record this really quick. So I started this Sage Gourmand concept more than a year ago. I've put all of my time and effort and resources into it over the last 9 months or so. In March, I left my job, and I've talked about it in a couple of times that I've recorded since then. But I've really strained myself to continue to move forward, and the last several days I've really felt like I have failed. And today I felt better, and I felt surprisingly better. I woke up, and it's that time of year, so cedar pollen is in the air. It's common for Texas, and especially San Antonio. And a couple years ago I started to develop what they call cedar fever, allergic reactions to the cedar pollen, and it's been difficult to deal with. It's a stretch of a couple months where this is really heavy in the air, and it definitely plays a part in how you live your life when you're not comfortable and at some points miserable. But I've been using Claritin. I started doing it 2 years ago. That was the end of Caesar season 2 years ago that I did it. And then I used it again last year, and I started it again this year, and it keeps it kind of in check. But when the pollen's really, really high, it's really, really difficult. Your eyes are burning and itching, and you just want to gouge them out, and you feel congested, and just a lot of other symptoms that go along with that during this period of the year, when you've got the short days and the cooler weather, and for me, the stress of the holiday season, this is going to be it has been probably the most stressful holiday season that I've had in years and years and years and years. And it all comes back to the decisions I made this year. I went all in. I put everything into getting Sage Gourmand up and running, and this is where I'm at. And we've basically exhausted all of our resources. It's a couple days before Christmas, and we're not exchanging gifts with each other. We're not buying gifts for our parents. We've had to cut back on what we're spending on the kids, and it's starting this month. There's a couple bills that haven't been paid yet. They're a couple weeks late already, and I don't have the money to pay for them, and I don't have any set revenue coming in. The good thing is the Sage Gourmand concept is progressing. I'm getting more exposure. I'm getting more people interested, and I'm getting more people that are paying me to do some things, but it's still not enough to support the budget that we have and the expenses that we put into it this year. So I've been on this fence for the last week or so. At what point do I abandon it? Do I just say, all right, I have to go back to work. I have to earn a paycheck the old-fashioned way. I have to just go work for somebody. And if I do that, what is that going to cost me? In the sense of losing who I am and pursuing my dreams. Am I going to be able to maintain, or is it something that I'm just going to chuck altogether? So it's been a real test of my will. It's been a test of my faith. And the hardest part is it's not just me. I'm married. I have a wife that is now suffering the same financial stresses that I am. And I feel like I've really ruined her whole holiday season. She's definitely not been joyful and happy, and the full extent of our financial situation she's not aware of, because it stresses her out so much. So we just kind of have agreed that the less she knows, the better. But she knows that it's not a good spot, and she's tried to be supportive, but it's at a cost for her as well. So the thing that really kind of spurred me to making this recording is, as I really, a lot of what I do, what I practice, what I believe in is living an abundant life, and it's been really tied to materialistic beliefs, a materialistic perspective, a viewpoint, and I've really built that up in my mind as part of that. Is that the more that you have, the more that you'll get, and as long as you live that mindset. But I'm in a position where I've made choices. I've made choices to try and create something greater than what I've had. And it's, again, there's been a cost associated with that. And that cost is, the cost of living, the cost of starting a business, and how I'm using my time to make that happen. And if I was working full-time, I wouldn't be spending as much time focused on what I'm doing, and I would not have gotten it to this point. But on the other hand, I don't have any revenue coming in, and we still have our normal living expenses, which are high. We have an expensive downtown apartment, and I guess that's a matter of perspective. It's expensive in our view. It's more than double what we were paying when we first moved here to San Antonio. It's more than what we were paying for our mortgage. It's more than triple what we were paying for our living expenses when we were in Illinois before we came to Texas. So depending on your perspective, where you're viewing this from, it's high. And I really have struggled the last couple of days with this. I've failed, feeling that I failed, and this fear of what's going to happen now because I've failed, and where do I take it? What do I do next? I preached this living an abundant life, and now I'm in a position where I have no abundance, and that's what I've felt. That's what I'm feeling the last several days. But it just kind of hit me this morning that as much as I was running it through in my head, trying to alter my own perception and perspective of the situation, that I have an abundance of resources. I have an abundance of talent, and I have an abundance of ability, ways to make money. And even though I haven't gotten to that point yet, I have fixated and focused on a concept, which is my business. It's the Sage Gourmand concept, and I'm trying to get that to a point that will provide for us not only now but forever. And it's not just a business and a source of income. It's kind of an empire and a legacy that I'm trying to leave behind. And those things are worth pretty much whatever it costs for me to get there. And right now it's costing me part of my sanity. But, like I said, I woke up this morning, and as much as I've been telling myself over and over and over again, if I have to file bankruptcy again, so be it. If we have to lose one of the cars, so be it. If we have to scale back what we, spend money on, or how we spend money, so be it. I'm still going to be able to wake up in the morning. I'm still going to be able to live a day after day after day after day. It's my life is not going to end because of our financial situation, and the reward is greater than the potential for loss. And I've been telling myself over and over and over, but it just hasn't been sticking. And I've just really kind of been devastated the last couple of days, and just really, I had basically a panic attack yesterday. I was like, I can't do this. I'm going to have to give it up. And I made a couple phone calls to people in the property management business that are around here. I was like, I'm going to have to go back to work. I'm going to have to go back to property management and to earn an income. And I don't know what's going to happen with my business. And part of me was like, I've spent so much money and so much time on it, and I've really been promoting it, and I'm going to have to walk away from it and leave it. And I mean, it's been a hard couple of days to deal with, and making those phone calls was difficult. I thought for sure, because of my extensive background in the hospitality industry, that I would be able to get a restaurant management job or a chef job anywhere. And when I first, a month or so ago, when I was like, all right, well, I should probably start putting out some resumes, just because there's a possibility I'm going to have to take a job, even if it's short term, or just to make it through this. I may have to restructure how I'm doing this, and that's a possibility. So I started applying for places that, were high-end, high-dollar, lots of pay, lots of prestige, because that's where I was aiming high, and I got nothing. I got no responses back. So then I lowered a little bit, and it's like, well, I'll maybe take it down a notch and apply a couple other places, and I did that, and again, nothing. And then this whole last week, I've been sending out resumes to any place that was hiring for any type of management, chef, sous chef, assistant manager, assistant kitchen manager, anything. And again, nothing. And it's really had an impact on me continuing to move forward, and my ego. And it makes me, I guess, a little angry at the system. And again, it's all automated. You have to punch your information into some system, and they use algorithms and psychology to determine whether or not you're a good fit for what they're trying to do, without now ever seriously looking at what you can do. And that's difficult for me, but I understand why it exists that way. But it's been, again, on top of everything else, it's been hard to deal with, because you have a certain sense of lack of value, that nobody wants to hire you because apparently you suck. But that's not the case. So it's been a struggle. It's been difficult to get through the last week or so. And again, I woke up this morning with a kind of a refreshed, renewed sense of hope, which I had not had before, and it really sunk in and made sense. It wasn't just me telling myself in my head over and over again, it's going to be all right, you're going to get through this, it's not the end of the world. If you lose everything and are penniless, again, you are still going to be alive. You're still going to be able to engage in what life has to offer, and you can rebuild. And today I was like, it was my understanding of the word abundance that has changed, because it's been tied to what we have, where we live, how much money we have in the bank. And the last month or so, I have not been living an abundant life. I've been living a life of fear. I have fear of losing everything. And this morning was the first time in weeks, maybe months, where I was like, living an abundant life is not rooted in finances or materialistic accomplishments. It's a pure sense of living that you are abundantly happy to be alive. And once that kind of cleared and I started to see things in that light, everything seemed to be better. My fears seemed to dissipate. My stress about where we're going and what we're doing faded away. I felt clear and focused on what I was doing and the benefit that it will have to not just myself, but my family and other people. The whole core principle value of Sage Gourmand is to help other people get through situations like this, to get through those hard times, and to deal with the stress and frustration of life. And I'm always asking myself, all right, well, if I'm going through something that's uncomfortable, what am I learning from it? What can I learn from it? What can I take away from it? And how can I use that to help other people? And that simple realignment of my own perception and perspective today of what abundance actually is, and living that process over the last several weeks and months was groundbreaking for me. It's something that I felt like I needed to go through to be able to coach people through it. And I've talked about that before. I've written about it, that part of my benefit, part of my ability to help coach people is the fact that I have lived through some of these things. I've lived through all these things. Everything that I talk about is something I've lived through. But now I've lived through it in a completely different sense. And I went from a day or so of feeling completely hopeless and useless and feeling like it might be time just to be done with everything, to, all right, I understand now what I was supposed to be getting from this and how important it was to be able to continue on doing what I'm doing. And that's the high point. That's the thing that I really just needed to convey, is that idea of abundance is not... I've been preaching about this for years now, about what I've accomplished since we came to Texas, what I've gained, the cars that I've always wanted and being able to get those, and wanting to write a book and being able to finish that, and the ability to take vacations. And now I'm faced with the prospect of losing all of that because of the choices that I've made to continue to try and move Sage Gourmand onto to this next level. And it made me doubt that abundance in my life. I'm like, how can I preach abundance when I'm about to lose everything? And that's when it hit me that I still have an abundant life. I still have the ability to experience absolute joy and satisfaction in life, whether I have money in the bank or not, whether I have the cars I want or not. You strip everything else away, and it's that ability to see the abundance around you that is the core value that it's everything that I'm doing is rooted in. And it took me getting to this point of not having any money in the bank and having maxed out all of our credit, and getting to the point now where we're starting to default on things, that I was able to see that my life of abundance isn't tethered to those things. It isn't dependent on those things. Worst comes to worst, and I end up on the street in 2 months, which is not something that I realistically think would happen, but I would still be able to enjoy life to the same level as I am now. I may not be able to engage in some of the things that I have been engaging in, but I would still be able to embrace and understand and enjoy the abundance of what this reality has to offer. And that is a big, big lesson for me, and hopefully I can use that to help other people get past similar situations. That's it.